Today, we're taking you through the garden to rate our annuals.
We're showing you what looks awesome and what has flopped.
Welcome to our garden here in Zone 6A, Upstate New York, and today we're gonna have a little bit of fun. It's that beginning of summer. We've had our annuals in the ground for a bit, and so we wanted to go through the garden with you and kind of off the cuff rate them for you to let you know if they're doing super well for us, if they're not performing up to our expectations, or if they were a total flop. So there is nothing scientific about this. We're just gonna spitball and have some fun with you and share our thoughts on the annuals that are in ground and in containers. And what better place to start than in our brand new west border. This was all just planted this spring. And one of our tips and tricks for you is that as you're waiting for your specimens to mature, or as you're deciding the final design of the space, plant annuals, have some fun, see what colors you like, see what textures you like, and have fun with those empty spaces that those immature shrubs and plants leave for you to play in. And the first one we're gonna start with is right here, Christopher. This is Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud, and I think it's new for 2026, right?
Yep, new for 2026. I have been in love with this since we first planted it. It's got this really nice, how do you describe that? Almost iridescent pink with a little yellow or chartreuse throat. It's filling in very nicely. They're starting to touch. So I'm very pleased with this. And what is our rating system gonna be today? I don't know if we discussed it.
I think for me, it's just like, would I plant it again? Or do I like it in general? Like nothing like, for me, it's like, would I do it again?
Okay.
And if it's like a really high chance of if I do it again, it'd be like 10 out of 10. If I might do it again, it would probably be like, I don't know, 5 out of 10. And if I wouldn't do it again, under that.
Okay.
And what is yours gonna be?
You know what? Why don't we stick to the same scoring system? We'll keep it simple.
Okay, and I'm gonna be brutally honest. So what are your thoughts on Pink Cloud?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10. I love the color. I love how it's growing in. I'm not 100% convinced on the faded blooms in between. It's the tiniest bit untidy, but other than that, I love it.
Okay. I love Supertunia Mini Vistas. It is my preferred Supertunia size, structure, and shape. This is not my favorite. I would give this a 4 out of 10. I don't love the color of the foliage, and I don't care for the structure of the blooms. It looks a little, I hate to use this word, we're gonna use it, a little ratty to me.
Okay.
Not my fave, but let's move on to this Lobelia. I love this one. Not so much that I can remember the name, and I'm sure Christopher will.
This is new for 2026 as well. This is a Laguna Royale Azure Lobelia.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Love the color, love the shape, love the structure.
It's a true blue. I'm going with a 10 out of 10 as well.
And then same thing with this Lobelia.
This over here is the blue pearl. He's giving a 10 out of 10. I'm giving this more like a 6 out of 10. I do not like the white dot in the center. It's not my team.
Interesting. Okay, so you're not one for a bright eye in the center.
Not for the bright eye.
Now, I have been a Gara fan for a long time. Christopher's had an aversion to Gara, but this year he agreed to let me do Pink Picadee Stratosphere Gara throughout the entire garden. Or is it Stratosphere Pink?
Pink Picadee, yes.
Yes. So it's the taller version of Proven Winners annual Gara. And this is a tricky one. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because I absolutely love it from farther away, because I love seeing the wispy, wavy wand flower in the air above other things, but up close, I'm pretty neutral about it. So I give it 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10. The Gara is not my absolute favorite in the garden, but I appreciate and I'm glad that we're trying it out.
Yeah, I would definitely do it again, especially when we get to the containers though. I think your score might change.
Continuing on down, we have an osteospermum called Bright Lights Pink. It's an African daisy. This one I want to love so much. It goes in and out of flower as the season goes. Right now it's about to come into flower, which is great, but it does go in and out of flower. I'd love it if it stayed in flower more often, so I'm going in with a 6 and a half.
Lower than I thought. I really like this one. I'm going with an 8.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go in here. This is something that I have to say I had to convince Eric hard on. I had this idea that we would have a river of Supertunia Mini Vista Indigo that contoured the pondless waterfall in this bluish purpley tone. Obviously, it's a 10 out of 10. It's the best annual ever. Agreed?
It's always been my favorite Proven Winners Supertunia Mini Vista for sure.
Would you say this is doing what you hoped it would do, or was it better than you expected?
I think it's much better than I expected. I normally don't love a Supertunia in the ground, and this is so covered in flowers, and I love the variation in the color that I think it's really interesting. It keeps your eye moving through it because of the color variation. So I say 10 out of 10.
Okay, and let's get to our first full-on flop.
Total
Tina,
flop.
it's the worst. It is not what we want from an annual. It is fiber optics grass. This, when we planted it here, we had been reading that this likes a little bit more moist soil, and it's great as a marginal, not like an in the pond, but near the pond where water wicks out. It's been eaten by bunnies, but when it's not eaten by bunnies, it's bleaching out yellow, and it's not exactly adding the soft, billowing, grassy texture we had hoped for. So I would say 1 out of 10, and I'm giving it a 1 because at least it's giving us a little bit of a softness.
I'm giving it a 1 because it's acting as bait for the rabbits and they're not eating other things.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Over here, a new for 2026, this is Sweet Caroline Shadow Storm Sweet Potato Vine. Got that beautiful variegation. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. The 6 is solely for the variegation and the look of it. It is not giving me billowing, and it's not giving me oomph the way that I was hoping for.
It has been really wimpy to take off. Even the one in our container on the terrace, super slow to take off. I think it's beautiful foliage.
It's gorgeous, but it's just...
I would do it again. I would also give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Next up here, we have a Sun Patient. This is Compact Purple Sun Patients. This is a controversial take, folks. I'm giving this a 2 out of 10.
You hate it that much?
I hate it so much. Here's the thing. When I was at the garden center, and Eric and I decided we needed a punch at the border. We knew we wanted the dark foliage. We knew we wanted something like an Impatient that, like, they're beautiful and they're reliable. Here's the thing. The color of the Compact Purple, I love it with the indigo. I love it with the Norway spruce. I hate it up against the Ariba hydrangeas. I actually hate it up against the Saguaro spruce.
Oh, really?
Cypress. And it also looks so tattered a lot of the time.
It does look particularly tattered this year.
And it does have water, so that's fine. But, you know, I just want to go through, clean these up. Okay, yes, we did have that mega heat wave, so I'll give it a little bit of credit, but it's just the color matching is not for me. I don't like it.
So it's not necessarily the annual, it's the choice of color.
Yes, my ideal situation would have been to get something that's a shell pink. I would have preferred a white to this.
Interesting. So what did you score it?
I'm gonna give this a 4.
A 4. So you wouldn't want to do them again. This color, but not necessarily this annual.
Correct.
Okay. So wait, don't skip by the Meteor Shower Verbena.
Meteor Shower Verbena, 10 out of 10. Performs, beautiful, pollinators, stays tidy, doesn't reseed. Love Meteor Shower Verbena, and this is filling in our need of verbena before our or not annual verbena, but our the tall Verbena bonariensis gets cooking, which will be out soon enough. But it's wonderful. 10 out of 10.
I also give the Meteor Shower a 10 out of 10, and I give these Sun Patients a 7 out of 10. I would plant them again. I like this color, and I don't mind that color with the Let's Dance Aribas. I think the Let's Dance Aribas, because they came to us blooming, and we have had that heat wave, and I think hydrangeas that get planted with flowers on them in the spring are always going to struggle flower-wise. I think next year we'll see what the true color of those Let's Dance Aribas is going to be.
Okay.
Aromance Pink Nemesia, beautiful, bright, got a little bit of yellow in it, some white, smells nice. Purposely planted it right here by the bench, so as we sit to enjoy the pondless waterfall, we get wafts of beautiful fragrance. I would do this again for sure. It's performed very well here in the landscape, and we have it again in the containers on the terrace. Landscape, I would definitely give it like a 9 out of 10.
I'm going 8 out of 10.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 is you'll see that, look, it'll flower out, and then it'll lull for a little bit before it pushes another round of blooms. Otherwise, it would be a 10 out of 10. Let's see. So back here,
go tallest.
Tallest to the castor beans in the back. Yep. So Christopher grew these Impala castor beans from seed. Last year, we had them on just the east side. This year, we have them on the east side and again on the west side because we love them so much. We've been diligent about fertilizing this year, and we'll share with you the fertilizer we use and the applicator we use later in the video, but it has made watering in with fertilizer so much easier this season that it doesn't seem so overwhelming, because that's kind of what it was last year. But I would give the Impala castor bean a 10 out of 10 because I love the foliage that it brings, the color that it brings, and the absolutely unique structure that'll bring to the garden. And by the end of the season, these castor beans will be up over the fence.
Yep, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 simply because the blooms look like kind of like a weird Elmo tuft of fur or something. That's my only gripe with it. But other than that, I love it.
And then right in front of that, my 10 out of 10, can't live without it, must have it in the garden every season. Rockin' Playin the Blues, Salvia, a Proven Winners Annual. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a 10 out of 10. Reliable, performs, gets huge, fills space, never gives you trouble. Love it.
Yes, but Christopher, pan here and you'll see this wispy Gara that we referenced earlier, and I just love the way that it floats in the garden.
See, from afar, it's absolutely wonderful because we
Yes.
place some on the far side so you're getting that texture. It's just when you get up close to it. So maybe we need to plan for something in front of it, hedgy-wise. Oh,
Maybe.
Wait a second. Can we talk about the performance of Strawberry Punch?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I walked right by it. It's so showy and so nice, and it's here in our Litchfield urn with our little orb over it. I would say for Super Bells, I think it's done very well. I would totally do this one again. I would say like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10 just because it's a bit of a difficult color to pair with
Yes.
our general pinks and purples kind of scheme. But Strawberry Punch Super Bells for the win. Kind of a 9.
Yes.
Little 9.
Moving on. Which way? This way?
Let's go in.
Let's go in?
Let's go in here. Oh, can I just honorable mention, we don't know if we like it yet. Hot Pants Asters. We'll see how they look in a few weeks.
Oh, right here. This is Maestro Coral Agastaki, a new annual from Proven Winners. I think it's totally fine. Like, I'm neutral about it. I would give it like a 5 or 6 out of 10. I think it's a nice color, but it's so small it doesn't really have impact in the landscape.
Yeah, it's supposed to get about 18 inches tall. I think this is one that we might need to almost reserve judgment on to see what it does when we're more in that heat of the summer.
But that's my issue with annuals. Like, for me, if annuals aren't performing by July, that's half our season.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True,
So for
true,
us
true.
in our 6A garden, it needs to, like, by the end of June, it needs to be like happening.
Yep, it needs to be
Otherwise,
kicking.
it's a waste for us. So like maybe someone in a warmer zone, this would perform longer in the season for them. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And if they're in a warmer zone, this actually might be a perennial.
That's true. So more Rockin' Playin the Blues. And in here we have Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes, which I love. It's another 10 out of 10. The hummingbirds love it. The pollinators love it. It's just like a great filler annual.
I'm gonna go with 7.5 on this
Oh.
one. I like the performance and everything. It's one of those salvias that doesn't necessarily have a ton of flowers on each calyx at a time. If it was, if there was more blue right now, I'd love it. It just, you know, they're pretty. They don't look ugly. I just want a little more punch from that blue.
I appreciate the dark stem on it. That I think makes it look really pretty. But look right behind me, Christopher, this hedge, and we have this repeated all throughout the garden.
10 out of
because
10.
It's such an amazing annual. It's called Artist Blue Floss Flower. It's an Ageratum hybrid, and this is it. Like, this is as big as it gets. Might send up some little taller spikes every once in a while, but for us, it makes a beautiful hedge. It's a great color. We have it repeated all throughout the garden. Really good performer in our growing zone.
This is a good opportunity to mention that we have a lot of our garden on supplemental drip irrigation. And one of our tricks for this particular plant is we use 12-inch spacing drip tubing, the brown drip tubing. So we know exactly how far apart to space each plant because we just put them at one emitter.
Do you want to head up on the terrace and do our containers?
Let's do it.
Well, on the way, we should probably stop here, Christopher.
These are our new Pascal urns that Eric originally had ordered to put something totally different in, but we ended up with the Super Bell collection. I love pairing the different Super Bells together because they all have a very similar habit, but I will say they don't have a similar performance. I adore Smitten Pink. This is probably my favorite Super Bell. You can see it does very well. It doesn't necessarily do as well as straight up Super Bells Pink. This is double Twilight, and then we also have double blue mixed in. That's the collection we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and say 8 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Shockingly, 10 out of 10 on the double Twilight.
Ooh.
Give me a number.
All right. I think of this, I don't know. I don't love the double blues habit.
Okay.
It's a little scraggly, but I don't hate it. I mean, I'm literally comparing it side by side. So I'm trying not to be as picky as I'm.
Be picky. Come on, do it.
I would give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Pink.
The pink, I'm not like a big, like, regular, just plain old pink
It's boring
fan. It's a little boring.
compared to this.
But I think it does very well, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Beautiful. Let's go up on the terrace.
The pressure is,
Oh, I love it.
pressure's real, guys.
I like moving along. So here's more of the double Twilight. Of course, we love that. Plum Dandy, Altern, and Thera. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. What's funny about, I would have given it 10 out of 10, but when we first planted them, they got real weird and wimpy, and then all of a sudden they are taking off. I love the dark color. I love it mixed with the olivey green. It gives a very unique color contrast. Give me a number on this.
Oh, I think it's definitely a 9 out of 10, but I want you to look at that Gara in the planter and tell me it's not a 10 out of 10.
The Gara in the planter, 10 out of 10. In the landscape, 6.
All right.
I think I said 7 before. I'm going to go 6 in the ground.
All right,
I love it here. More of that Aromance Nemesia, the pink one. I like it better in containers than in the ground personally, but I still enjoy it enough to keep it in like that 8 area.
Do you know which one I don't like in this container? Well, not that I don't like, but it's totally underwhelmed me.
Okay, so this is a bit of a flop. This is Double Delight Blush Rose Begonia. They can handle sun. The thing about these begonias is this. They need a little bit of work from you. So I don't want to call it a full flop, but in the sun and in the heat, they are going a little more orange. And we're trying to do a pink and purple theme, but you can see it's kind of in this kind of like, maybe it's because it's up against something so blue, it's pulling out more orange.
I don't know. I think because it is in the sun, it is going a little orangier, and it's not. So actually, let's show them the other one that's not in full sun.
Okay, come over here. The one that's not in full sun, look at how much more pink and big the flower is. This is gorgeous. This is what we were hoping for everywhere. So this is knowledge. We're learning that the plant does better in the part shade. Can it handle the full sun? Yes. Does it want it? Not so much. In this container, we have more Meteor Shower Verbena, still 10 out of 10.
And it's particularly 10 out of 10 because this is totally a part sun container and it's still doing that well.
Still doing fantastic. This is another one of those Lobelias, the Laguna Royale Lilac coming out next year. This for me is a 10 out of 10. I love this color. I'd love this in the ground. I would love this. Oh, okay. What if we did the Azure, the blue one, the first one we looked at, next year instead of the Mini Vista Indigo all the way down the side of the waterfall?
That would be pretty.
That'd be really cool.
I like that more naturalistic.
Right, and it would blow in the wind a little bit. All right, so we have, this is Space Age Black Hole Rex Begonia, an annual for us, unless we took it in as a houseplant. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'm totally neutral about it.
It's cool, it's growing.
It's a beautiful leaf.
It is, it's really awesome. I would love to see it do a bit more. This is an interesting one. This is one that our opinion has changed very quickly over time. This is new for next year. It's a Super Bell called Magic Double Grapefruit. What makes it magic is when it has UV on it, the sunlight, it changes from this yellowy color to a pink. And we didn't realize that at first. So because we put it in a part shade area, we have a whole lot more yellow than we were expecting. If this was a true double pink, I think we'd like it a little better. I do like the variation of pastel colors, just not exactly what we were looking for. I will give this a 7 out of 10 for not being what we thought it was, but it's still a pretty cool plant.
I actually, when we planted it, thought it was a 10 out of 10. And it turned out to not be what we were expecting. But I still think it's a 10 out of 10 because I think it's beautiful. I like that yellow. I think it's a nice yellow. I don't think it's harsh.
Yeah.
I would 100% do that again. And what I think is cute is even though we weren't planning on having a little yellow, we do have a little play of yellow in the center of these Aromance pink Nemesias.
There you go. Okay, this container's taken on a life of its own. First off, we have more of that blush rose, certainly not keeping up vigor-wise.
Yeah, the vigor is not in line.
We have more of the Plum Dandy Alternanthera, which is keeping up, not as much, with very incredibly vigorous Superbena Pink Cashmere, which I love as a flower. I'm gonna give this I'm giving this a 6. And here's why.
Wow, you're a big Pink Cashmere Superbena pusher on
I have
me
been
this
such
year.
a pusher on this, and I've been pushing because we haven't succeeded with Superbenas. I know this one was newer. I know its performance is there. It's a little bit of a thug, and when I say that, I mean look at the foliage and the spilling, but where's the flower? Where is the flower here? So I will say I would not want to plant this plant again. However, if you planted this with Supertunia Vista Snowdrift or Bubblegum or Vista Fuchsia, and then put some kind of big black kind of flowering thing like a Medusa Black sweet potato vine, amazing. Not for me, not loving it. This is Bluebird Nemesia. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. And then, oh, that's all that's in here for annuals. But tell me what you think of the Pink Cashmere.
You had to talk me into it, and
Did you end up liking it?
no, I'm very neutral. I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay, Bluebird Nemesia.
Bluebird Nemesia is 10 out of 10 for me. I love the color, absolutely love that color.
It is a
and
good
I love
one.
the fragrance.
Okay, let's just spin around really quick. Well, not too quick, because we don't want people to puke looking at TV. We have Pink Chablis Lamium. We have more of that Shadow Storm Supertunia, or
Sweet potato
Sweet
vine.
Potato Vine. You get all the supers in your mouth. The
Large.
No, it is Large Wave Summer. No, it's Summer something Large Wave Purple Terrenia.
Violet, I think.
Violet. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my words. And this is Rockapulco Apple Blossom Impatiens. I will say, as a collection of plants, I want to call this a 10 out of 10. It's one of my favorite arrangements we've ever done. And ironically, it's one of the simplest things we've ever done. Very cool tones. Pink Chablis Lamium for us is amazing because it performs like this nonstop all summer. 10 out of 10. And then we're going to put all these in the landscape, and it is going to happily move around in shady areas, pops up in different spots, and it's easy to pull if you don't like it. The Impatiens, I love the soft pink flower coming through, 10 out of 10. And this Terrenia, lots of flower power. This is doing for me right now what I wanted the Pink Cashmere to do.
And I think this is a good example of plants with the same vigor being paired together and really lifting each other up.
Yeah.
And making each other look great. And I agree that this is a 10 out of 10 combination. And I do wonder if what you said about the Superbena Cashmere, with it being all the same vigor, if it would really shine like that. And this is the same combination in our hanging baskets. Osteospermum White, which is an African Daisy annual from Proven Winners. Last year we visited our friend Renee on Martha's Vineyard. It is,
Second Nature Design.
Second Nature Design. She has an amazing Instagram. If you don't follow her, make sure you do. But she uses a lot of white in her garden, and we hadn't really thought about that. And I think incorporating more white really accentuates the other colors that we have. So for me, I love this pop of white. I think it's an 8 out of 10. I do wish it had more blooms more consistently, but I think it does exactly what we were expecting it to do.
I'm calling it 8 out of 10.
Yeah, we agree. Come on over here. New for 2026, Supertunia Vista Cool Jazz. Oh, we got a little grass growing in
With some grass
here.
in it, of course.
Man. So Supertunia Cool Jazz is a very nice color. I have no qualms about it. It doesn't inspire me, but I think that it's nice, and I think it's got a lot of flowers and it's a nice size. So I would give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10.
I'm going with the same 6 out of 10. It's good. It's one of those plants where it's an awesome plant. I have no problem with the plant. I just am not as enthused personally.
And I think as the season progresses, it'll mound up and
Yeah,
get
that'll be
bigger.
another one to check out.
But look at this. This has probably all annuals we've already talked about with the addition of a few new ones. So this is an improved white scavola. I think this is a much needed texture in this container. I think it adds a nice little oomph. I mean, I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. What would you give it?
I'm giving it 8 out of 10. And this is one of the plants I would say is surprising me because I really love it. I really appreciate what it's doing.
I agree. Look at the pink cashmere in this application though. I think it's a 10 out of 10 here.
Yeah, it is a 10 out of 10. It is completely squashing some other plants.
I don't think it is. I think it's like kind of going behind them and around. I like that.
It's all right. I'm not saying I hate it.
And of course, the Gara.
The Gara and the Meteor shower.
And then this is Angelonia Blue Face, right?
Yep. It's I'm going with I'm sorry, it's a 3 out of 10.
Really? You don't like it that much?
I wanted it so bad. I don't like it.
You were pushing this on me.
I'm willing to take risks and I'm willing to admit defeat. I don't like it. It's not giving me enough color. It's not giving me enough cascade.
Oh, I don't mind it. I mean, I think it's like a 5 or 6 out of 10.
I sound like the
good.
brutal one. It's so funny.
I know. But I do love, look at the Bluebird Nemesia again.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome. I would definitely do that one all over the place. And, grape.
This is Grape Punch.
Grape Punch. I like that. I think it's a little bit of a bigger flower.
For a Super Bell.
And I like the little bit of yellowy chartreuse in the center. So I would give that like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think the whole overall look is really good. Augusta Lavender Heliotrope, Eric.
Yes, I love that one. And we grew this last year and we loved it so much we're repeating it again. It's a really cool annual that I think does better in the ground than in containers.
Same.
Its blooms unfurl onto these bloom stalks and you don't even notice them. It smells beautiful, has a great color. I would give it a 10 out of 10. Augusta Lavender Heliotrope. More Rockin' Playin the blue Salvia. Newly Noir Coleus back there's always a great filler when you need a pop of dark color. We've repeated that every year. I couldn't give it less than a 9 out of 10. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 this year because it is starting to put on bloom stalks really early, which is not supposed to.
I'm going 8 out of 10 because of the bloom stalks.
Okay. More Artist Blue Floss Flower Ageratum. And then where are we going to next with annuals?
Let's see, what do we got?
I don't know. I don't think we have any there. We don't have any there. Oh, this is a great one. Torchlight Coleus. This is a Color Blaze Coleus series from Proven Winners, which means it can be in full sun to shade. I love that green and the dark and the pink. I think it performs well.
It's my favorite Coleus, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for sure. Would always repeat that when we can. And now Christopher, this is his must-have annual.
I mean, I know
Tell us why you love it.
If we were going to say annual of the year, this would once again be my annual of the year. Surefire Rose Begonia, 10 out of 10. It performs in sun. It performs in shade. What it does is perform. It doesn't stop. Yes, it's a little bit messy. I don't care. When I do edges, I'll come through with the leaf blower afterwards and just kind of blow the little petals back up underneath it. Look at this in full blazing sun till about 2 p.m. Has not skipped a beat. And we're going to show you up front another location where it's a multi-purpose plant that it can't be beat.
And that's my tip for keeping your garden beds weed-free is when you see them, pull them. Because we have them. I think Surefire Rose Begonia is a great performing annual. I think it totally has this place in the garden. I'm not like gaga for it, but I can see why it's perfect for this spot. So I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, you know how this would, for me, become a 15 out of 10? Is if they made it look like that double up pink with the bright green leaves, because I feel like the bright green leaves would be a little prettier.
Well, let's show them the same annual, but up here in this application.
Okay.
It gets a little, would you say less sun because it's shaded?
Right, this is a problem area.
By this big hydrangea.
This is one of those areas where sometimes it's in the shade, sometimes it's in full sun. We tried a plant last year that just didn't do it at all. It couldn't handle the part shade, but this is just rocking out.
Yeah. Up here, we have more of the Artist Blue Floss Flower, the Ageratum hybrid. You can see we've hedged out our foundation border. I just really love it. It's so neat and tidy.
That's
a great annual. And then this. Are you kidding me with the perfect combination of annuals in this container. So we have a standard rose here. This is Carding Mill, which isn't an annual, but I have to give it a 10 out of 10 shout out.
Incredible.
To bridge the gap of height, we have the Meteor Shower Verbena, more of that Plum Dandy alternate there. Now this is full sun facing south in black containers on pavement with dark siding behind it. And this is how they are performing. They're not even on drip, so we have to drag the hose out and water these every other day. So they're doing really, really well. I think Plum Dandy is thriving in this container. I think that the Solenia Apricot Begonia is playing beautifully with the Supertunia Bordeaux. I would give this an 8 or 9 out of 10. Only taking some points off because it gets a little messy.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, it's just one of those personal things if it had a touch more vigor, but I like the pop. I like that it's a subtle addition.
And I think that it really pulls up here very nicely. Supertunia Bordeaux for me in this application is a 10 out of 10. It's playing very nicely with its neighbors and it's holding its color and it's blooming nonstop. And then new for 2026 is Silver River de Delta.
Silver River de Delta, yep.
I love it.
I like it. It did not do the best during that heat wave, but in the evenings it would perk right back up. It's sort of semi-succulent. So I was shocked to see it do the flopping, but it is trailing beautifully in all 3 containers.
It's an amazing color, an amazing texture. It's a nice vigor that doesn't overwhelm anything. I would give this a 10 out of 10. What would you give the Bordeaux and the Silver River?
I'm gonna give Bordeaux an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Only because, as you can see on that side over there, it just gets a little sprawly.
No, this is not the plant. This you're talking about?
Yeah.
My car brushes against it when I back out.
Oh.
And it's been breaking little branches off and they've been falling on the ground.
Well, I give your car a 6 out of 10. And I give the Supertunia Bordeaux a 9 out of 10 now.
Yeah, so that's why that's doing that right there. But you'll notice none of the other ones are doing it. And so maybe I need to be a little more careful when I pull out. So is now a good time to show everybody our fertilizer trick?
100%.
All right, let's do it.
So we've got our hose link, and we actually now have 3 hose links around the property, which has been a game changer for us. And they have awesome quick connects on them. So I am going to unhook this nozzle and I'm going to hook on the Chapin wet dry sprayer. This is a very inexpensive tool that has changed our in-ground, actually end container fertilizing. So we also have a quick connect on the end of this, which is great. The settings are for wet fertilizer, dry fertilizer, and then here you can see the ratio that you want to be sucked up of your fertilizer. The Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer is 2 tablespoons per gallon. So I put it right on that tab. You unscrew.
Is it? I thought it was 1.
2.
Okay. Well, I guess I've been under fertilizing. But like we always say, it is better to give them little snacks throughout the week than to give them one big meal.
Oh, I've been over fertilizing.
Oh, you've been giving them a giant meal?
I've been giving them 2 tablespoons. Oh, wow. Okay, so let's move back to the 1 tablespoon method. And all you do, you've got your 3 pieces. There's the bucket, the basket, and the sprayer. I take my scoop and I just fill up the basket. One little trick I've learned is to put a little bit of water into the reservoir, I guess you would call it, before you start this process because it takes a second for it to fill up the water. Okay, so I've got a little fertilizer in there. I put that in here. Slide this tube down through that little friend. Normally I do this on the ground, which is easier to work with. Spin this on.
Everything's always harder on camera.
It is. And then this is going to dissolve the water-soluble fertilizer. Ta-da! We can set it over to dry. And there's a bunch of different settings. I find that the wide sprays are really helpful for things like...
Yeah, because you want it to go under the foliage. You don't want to water on top of the foliage.
Right, especially because we're going to demonstrate at a moment when we're in some sun. So this is the downward way of doing it. Make sure the water is not too hot. Oh, it has warmed up a little bit. Okay, and then I just go in here, up underneath my Surefire Rose,
You know, a little snack.
Little snack. We have been doing this once a week. Sunday mornings have kind of been fertilized day, which is good because it's also when I'm going to go through with Captain Jack's to spray on Supertunias for budworm purposes. That's it.
Yeah, and shake it as you're doing it and enjoy the ease of not having to mix bucket after bucket after bucket.
100%. All right, let's make sure we haven't left anything out. Oh, I planted Gomphrena, salmon pastel Gomphrena, and once again, I have learned, thankfully not terribly the hard way, I have to cage them. They're bunny food. It's what's going to happen. So I would have had some flowers by now, but unfortunately, I have to keep these stupid things covered.
Those rabbits.
I think I'm over Gomphrena. Not as bad as a few years ago, I planted 124 seedlings. And then we had a late frost, and then the bunnies took the rest of them. I ended up with maybe, 6 plants out of 124.
Yeah.
So I was emotionally scarred. I'm gonna give this Gomphrena Salmon Pastel a 3 out of 10, and I will be putting Gomphrena to rest in my plantings from now on.
Look at that pretty little flower bud. It's coming.
It is, and
user error.
User error, garden error. But all right, Eric, before we go, number 1 plant of the season, annual.
Oh, ooh. Well, I think the number 1 most can count on would plant every year would be Artist Blue Floss Flower. And my number 1 most surprising, loving it the most, making the most impact for me is the Pink Picotee Gara.
Okay. I am going to say that, I am going to say that the Azure Blue Lobelia is my biggest surprise. I wasn't sure how it was going to do in the ground, and I'm in love with it. And it's a true blue. Oh gosh, favorite annual of the year.
I think we all already know the answer.
It's Supertunia Mini Vista Indigo.
Bingo.
For the 15th year, or we've only been gardening for 7, so for the 7th year in a row. And certainly it's not the compact purple Sun Patience.
Huh.
Thank you so much for watching as we rate the annuals in the garden. Please let us know, what are your favorites of the season? What are your flops of the season? We'd love to see that in the comments.
And any recommendations you have for us to add to our garden next year would be great. And for more information on our garden, please visit growformegardening.com. Please make sure you click like and subscribe to our channel. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me Gardening.
Thanks for growing with us.